Ireland has long been a fertile land for boxing talent, from Jimmy McLernan to Dave Boy McCauley, Steve Collins to Wayne McCulloch and Bernard Dunn. And in amongst all those champions, of course, Barry McGuigan, the man who inspired a generation and more, and who's responsible for the latest star to emerge from across the Irish Sea. Today, BoxNation meets Carl Frampton.
Hard game, man.
We're in McGuigan's gym in London to meet Carl Frampton himself. Carl, welcome to BoxNation.
Thanks very much.
Now, you grew up in the 90s in a time of extraordinary change in Northern Ireland. What was that like?
It wasn't easy, to be honest. I grew up in an area called Tigers Bay, right on an interface, so I've seen a lot of trouble and a lot of fighting. Kind of at the back end of the troubles, so it was a lot worse before, but I still seen a few things I probably shouldn't have seen, but my parents done a good job of trying to keep me away from that as much as possible. But you know, I've seen a few things that I probably shouldn't have.
And did you get drawn into that trouble at all at times?
No, you know, I tried to stay away from it as much as possible, and I think boxing has a big part to play in that, because I was mixing with guys from the other side of the community from a very early age, so I never really wanted to get involved in fighting or any of the trouble. But I could have easily went the other way, and a lot of people did. But things are changing now for the better, and I'm really happy to see it.
Actually, you were born just around the time that Barry McGuigan was actually retiring, but yeah. Could you sort of start to see the impact that he'd had perhaps on society and sports fans as well?
Yeah, even more so now, obviously, being a manager and hearing stories and stuff and watching old footage, and the support he had was unbelievable, and from both sides, and you know, there was a saying during the troubles, leave the fighting to McGuigan, and that's great. You know, it's a really nice thing to be able to say something like that. And you know, you hear stories of anytime Barry fought in the King's Hall or wherever, the trouble in the streets stopped for a couple of hours, and then it sort of went on again once the fight was over. But you know, he brought people together, and he's still doing that today.
And we've seen in Northern Ireland and indeed Ireland over the years as well, whether it's someone like Alex Higgins or George Best as well, so much sort of creativity from sportsmen over there, but so much vociferous, almost fanatical home support. What is it about the Irish?
I think people are they just get behind their own. They're very proud if they can produce world champions and someone who's putting them on the map. What I believe is the people of Ireland or Northern Ireland aren't going to support you if you're not the real deal. So they're coming out in their thousands to follow me now, and it's kind of that's a nice feeling.
And I tend to think of sort of Northern Irish communities as being close-knit ones, yeah, with strong family backgrounds. Was that the case with you?
Definitely was, and it's even today. You know, in all the local area, I get a lot of support from all over, you know, both sides of the community. Being a Protestant boy from a mainly loyalist area, it's great for me to be having guys support me from the sort of nationalist New Lodge area, which is right next door, and it's, you know, I used to see fights between people from Tigers Bay and people from a New Lodge all the time. So to have that support, it's great, but it is really close knit. And people get behind you, and they're showing me a lot of support.
You're obviously sporty. Was school sort of on your radar at all?
No, I'm not daft. I'm not the brightest guy in the world either. But I enjoyed school. It was okay. I loved sport more than anything in the world, whether it be boxing, football. Played a little bit of rugby in school as well. It's always bit too small for that. And
when was the stage at which sort of boxing became an option for you, or was it a sport that you wanted to pursue?
Well, around 16, I was playing football quite regularly, playing for a local team, and boxing at the same time, and it was kind of put onto me. You know, you kind of, if you want to take one of these things serious, you're going to have to focus mainly on one and not the other. So that's when I kind of just pushed football to the back burner and took up boxing completely full time. But I've been boxing since I was 7, and I'm glad that's the path I chose, to be honest, because much better boxer than I was football player.
Did your mum and dad always encourage you with your boxing career?
Yeah, I think probably my mum more so than my dad. She's one of them sort of pushy parents who was like, get down the boxing club, because she knew I was good at it. But I'm kind of glad that she did. She forced me to, not forced, you know, I wasn't bullied into going to boxing or anything, but I'm kind of glad that she sort of pushed me in that direction. And
is she still your #1 fan in a way?
She's brutal, to be honest. She's a bit embarrassing to say the least, but it's better than nothing, I suppose.
She go around telling everybody?
Well, she works in a local ASDA, so she does. So she's basically, you know, people come in through the door, don't have a clue who she is, but she ends up talking about me and letting them know that she's my mum. So a bit embarrassing, but well, what can you do? And
where was the point at which you thought, actually, this could be something? Maybe this could be a career one day?
Pretty early, maybe 11 or 12, because I was winning fights and beating good guys. And I always had dreams and aspirations of becoming a world champion. Still not there yet, but I'm getting close. I'm well on track to do that. But it was pretty early on that I wanted to be the best.
What surprises me about you as a young man is you seem so controlled when you're in the ring. That sort of discipline, but not getting too carried away, and confident as well. I know Carl Frampton, people see him now and think, well, he's a machine, but it's taken him years to get to that position.
Yeah.
He used to be quite a nervous guy when he was younger.
I think a lot of it's to do with the amateur experience I have. I love fighting. I really love fighting. I feel comfortable when I'm in the ring.
You're a family man now as well. You've got a young daughter, Carla, wife Christine. How's that? All of that changed you or affected you in any way?
Wife to be. We're getting married in October actually, so not yet. But it's sort of just made me focus that little bit more. You know, as I said before, I've always wanted to be a world champion, but when you have a family to look after, they're the most important thing. Boxing comes after them, and I'm going to do what's best to make a good life for them. And so, you know, when things get tough in training, which they do a lot, you just have to think, you know, have a little think about your fiancé and your daughter back home, and then that sort of gives you the kick up the backside you need.
How do you find having to travel over to the UK to train with Barry and Shane?
Well, I know it's best for my career. I know it's best for me to be here and to be training with Shane. When I'm away, I can just focus on boxing, and that's pretty much it. Get my head down and train hard.
And Shane's sort of new generation, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's amazing how old school boxing can still be, but it's very much a modern setup here.
I think boxing is probably one of the sports that are still full of, I say dinosaurs, but old school people, you know, and there's new methods and stuff coming out all the time, and Shane is very, very advanced in what he knows and what he does. Tactically, he's much better than me at, you know, watching opponents and picking their weaknesses before I can actually see them. And he's got to be one of the best boxing coaches in the UK, and with his nutritional advice that he's given me, I can make super bantamweight quite comfortably.
And is your career developing along the lines you expected it to? Are you exactly where you thought you would be?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. I think I've always dreamed of becoming a world champion. I don't think I'd have turned pro if I didn't believe that I could have become a world champion. And we're right on track there. You know, I've only had 16 fights. I'm European champion now. I'm ranked number 3 or 4 in the Ring magazine. I'm in the top 10 of all the governing bodies. So we're knocking on the door. What
does it mean to have those 8,000 or so packing out the Odyssey? That home support is phenomenal, isn't it?
It's amazing. The atmosphere against Kiko Martinez was like just watching it back. I still get the hair stand up in the back of my neck. It was amazing, and you can get about 8,000 into the Odyssey, but I think there's going to come to a point where if I keep winning and getting involved in bigger fights, we're going to have to find a bigger venue. But it's it's a privilege. It's a real privilege and an honour that the people are coming out and they're so fanatic and they make a lot of noise. It really is amazing.
How did you handle that? Because I was struck how that atmosphere almost got to me, and I wasn't even fighting. How do you keep control of your senses at a time like that?
I don't know, to be honest. It's something that's built in me, I think. It feels like it just comes naturally. It comes easy, and I stay relaxed. Is
that the sort of character you are, or is having Barry on board perhaps helped you in that sort of regard, drawing on his experience?
I've always been laid back, maybe a little bit too laid back, Christine would say, but you know, in the changing room, you can tell that Barry's a completely different person to me. He's hyped up. You can tell that he's very, very nervous. And you know, I'm sort of chilling out, sitting in the corner in the sofa, listening to a bit of Sam Cooke, and Barry's pacing up and down. And sometimes I have to tell Shane to tell Barry go outside there for 10 minutes. He's starting to make me nervous. So we're completely different people, but I'm always relaxed. I always have been. Always, just ever since I remember.
Sounds like you don't have to really relax away from boxing, though. But I know you love your music and you love cooking as well.
Yeah, I love cooking. I'm okay. I can cook a bit. Love watching the cooking shows, and I enjoy it. Nothing better, I think, than making a good meal from scratch and someone telling you that was nice. Love it.
Are you a better cook than Barry?
Much better. Barry won Hell's Kitchen, but I think it was more of a personality contest than anything else. He was good at the mashed potatoes. I think he told me he befriended one of the chefs and sort of got him to do everything for him. But
would you go on one of those shows? Have you got asked?
I'd love to do it. But you know, I'm not amazing. I'm not an amazing chef or anything. I'm not going to say that. But I really enjoy my cooking, and I'm a foodie. I love good food when I can afford to eat it.
And you were telling me that in the build-up to the big fight, you're happy to watch, you know, even when you've got weight to make, you're happy watching the delicious food programs.
I don't mind it because I love it, and you know, the boys would come into the room and I'm sitting sort of 3 days out from a weigh-in and probably not eating as much as we should be eating, and sitting watching Man vs. Food or Rick Stein or MasterChef. I love all that stuff. Really, really, really love it.
So if you win the next big fight, or you win a world title, what's your big culinary treat?
There's a woman who works in a cafe, which is close to Christine's mum's house, and nice woman, lovely lady, and she makes me a lovely pavlova after every fight. And massive, this is enormous, and I sort of do it in probably 2 sittings, just with a spoon, sitting at the TV myself, still in the box, and that's my treat. Love a pavlova.
Well, after the break, we'll meet the men behind the man, Shane and Barry McGuigan, coming up.